So I guess I've always, not I guess, like I have always felt called since I was young. I felt called to go into ministry, and I never really knew what that was going to look like. But I think that was kind of a part of God's plan, is to kind of keep me in the dark for a while, and let me live a little bit of life and experience certain things. Or maybe that was just me, running from the calling. I don't know. But I did my fair share of that, of running from it, ignoring it. And it's interesting how God has a way of kind of bringing you back around to where you were intended to be in the first place. And I think that's exactly what he's done by having David call me a few months ago. He called me and said that he's was having trouble sleeping, and he was trying to figure out what he was going to do, what direction he was going to go, and asked me if I would consider. He asked me a lot of questions about what was going on in my life, asked me if I would consider or if I had thought about being a part of the worship ministry at his church. And I was like, no, I that's a lot to think about. I didn't grow up Nazarene, and the only thing I know about the Nazarene church is what I've talked to David about. So it was a big decision for me, and I believe that I took a few months to think about it and pray a lot about it, and I kept asking God to just make it easy, fire me from my current job so I can just, move up there or whatever. I just wanted him to open all these doors and just make it super easy. So I didn't even really technically have to make a decision. So he didn't do any of that stuff naturally, because that's not really the way he works. He wanted me to make the sacrifice and the effort. So that's what I did, and eventually, through some circumstances and some answered prayers, although somewhat obscurely, he answered the prayers, and eventually I felt like this was what he wanted me to do. So that's kind of how I've answered the call in my life. I'm in my early 30s now, and I'm just starting into ministry kind of on this scale. So I think it's awesome how, like, even though I've done all these terrible things, and been a certain person that wasn't, the type of person that was going to go into ministry, and people that from my past might look at me and be like, no way, but God has a way of allowing you to make a comeback, and he has a way of using everyone despite their past.
I received my call when I was 23. I had just gotten saved here at Trenton Nazarene, and God began to work in my heart. And Cheryl and I started working with the youth, and God just was doing so amazing things in our lives and the work here at the church. And as we progressed, we had several different opportunities to go and to serve at churches, and God just didn't release me. And as I went along, it was 17 years before I felt like God said, this is the time. And I was sitting in the sanctuary, and I just really felt a real clear statement from God saying, now it's time for you to speak for me. And as I would go and I would pray and work out my call with God, I said, what am I going to say? What is my ministry going to be about? And I really felt like he was saying, John, you worked in the prison for 17, 18 years breaking people, and now it's time for you to mend. And that's where I received my mission. He said it's time to go and to share the word of the Gospels and to put people back together. And it has just been an amazing ride ever since, being here at the church, working and serving, and just seeing what God has in store here for the local church.